The one test that I always have is to hold the camera with one finger, and here I'm actually not super confident. I have to get used to the shutter sound. I'm not sure if it's a toy. Can I take a photo of you? Good morning everyone, hope you're having a beautiful day and that you're ready for some Canon R8 action today. This is my first time using it. I want to give you a full hands-on experience of how it feels to shoot an urban environment in a city, and most importantly what I find interesting and maybe not so interesting about this camera. There's already something that I'm predicting that might be a big hindrance. We'll talk about it later, but this camera might appeal to a lot of people. So I got the 24 to 50mm f4.5 f6.3, the kit lens. I know I have a 51.8 in my backpack in case I need it, but for now I think we should get started right away, see how it feels in hand, and we're gonna go a little bit of a immersive way for all this. So if you're ready, let's go Chicago. All right, let's go. We have a beautiful day to test this camera, and we've got also something very interesting. This lens actually surprised me because the first moment I turned it on, it said, set the lens on to the shooting position. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And actually it's like fully retractable, so very low space, and then up you put it to 24, and then that's your range of 24 to 50 of working, which is cool because it makes it smaller than the past kit lenses. Now you can like fully retract it. This camera body is a lot smaller than the R6 Mark II that I just tried the other day, and you can instantly feel it, right? The one test that I always have is to hold the camera with one finger, and here I'm actually not super confident when I'm doing this because I feel like it can easily flip if it's too heavy. But this lens being super light, like maybe it has to do more with that than with anything else, right? Now I discovered something absolutely awesome, and I'll try to show you in details. It is simply the fact that you can use the back screen as touchpad almost. I don't know if you can see what's happening, but while I'm moving my finger right here, there's a little box that just moves around, which means you're able to move your focus point, because there is no like little joystick here, by just touching on this part of the screen while you're in viewfinder mode, like literally like this, right? And it's super helpful, and you can tap also to go from one subject to another, and that really surprised me. I think it's excellent. It's very helpful, and it's definitely something I would use a lot personally when I'm shooting. Also, let's talk about the weight. This camera weighs nothing. It's like impressive because it's very, very light. The Fuji X100 is like so hyped right now, and a lot of people are trying to get it, and everyone's like super excited. They're like, we want everyday cameras, but this can be your everyday camera very, very easily, where you wouldn't have to think about doing too much with it, because honestly it is tiny. Look at this compact form is great. Now imagine you throw a pancake with a prime lens on it. Could be really nice, no? Maybe let me know in the comments how you feel about it, but for me this is a big selling point. Now there is something right here that's like scaring me off. I'm gonna tell you in a second. If you can see this right now, what's happening is that the camera is picking up again all the objects, just like on the R6 Mark II. Is incredible. Look at that. It's picking up the car perfectly for each shot, and that is always super impressive. I changed it in the menus from a mode where you can select if you want to detect just people or if you want to detect just cars, and I went in a mode where you can actually, it automatically selects whatever is most dominant in the frame, right? If it's a person, it's gonna go to a person. If it's a car, it's gonna go to a car, just like in this instance. And I find that beautiful. Coming from Sony, I'm like, oh my god, why are you not doing this to me, Sony? Why do you force me to choose all the time? Especially when you're like in urban environments, you want to be able to go from one to the other very quickly. There might be a cool composition right here. Yeah, this looks cool. I like it. Yeah, that's a cool shot. We've got such a beautiful cloud coverage today that it makes a lot for very interesting shots. This is a surprising little camera that paired with like, I think a really prime fast lens could be an awesome combo. The autofocus has been wow so far. We'll have to test it a little more, so let's go a little further. I mean, honestly, the advantage of the kit lenses is that usually you don't have to worry about like having your aperture too shallow, especially at 24 with that kind of shot. Look at this. Let's see if we can get a This shutter sound is kind of funny. It sounds very it doesn't sound as good as the R6 personally, I find, in terms of shutter sound itself. Now, I gotta say I love having flip screens on all cameras nowadays. It just makes like that kind of photos where you go like low so much like easier to take, which honestly it's something I regret a lot not having on the Sony A1. Ugh, would make it so much easier. The autofocus nowadays, guys, is so impressive. It's still picking up the subject even from that far. Now this is a full frame sensor, right, in this tiny body, which makes it actually a pretty gnarly combo in my opinion. But there's a few disadvantages I'm going to tell you in a second. I just love this little reflection with the table and the people walking in the background. Boom. I think once the clouds move, it's going to look great. One of the disadvantages I found already is that the battery on this one is actually a lot smaller than on the R6 Mark II, which obviously will make the battery last less long, which I think is a hindrance. Now the other thing is that you're not gonna have that stabilized sensor. That's a little bit of a huge bummer. Now, can we live with that? Of course we can. A lot of people nowadays want that stabilized sensor to combine it with a stabilized lens like this one in order to avoid having to take tripods to get that like super crispy shot even in low light, you know? Because unstabilized sensor, if you're shooting at 1.1/5 of a second, you're probably gonna get some shake, and the stabilized sensor can help you compensate. Now the lens is stabilized. Is that gonna be enough to compensate? Honestly, I'll have to test it more in the future, but so far I kind of like this form factor. I love the compactness of it, and the fact that I feel like if I remove the lens I can throw this in my pocket almost. It is such an interesting camera. I think a lot of people who have been Canon or who love Canon or had another camera before will probably gravitate towards trying out, and that would make sense. Look at this, it picked this person's face while he was walking. Even from here, this is awesome. Let's see, let's try for another one. Like, and that's kind of challenging. Yeah, boom, we still got it. Wow, okay, I'm impressed so far. I gotta say, I'm a little impressed. Now with this aperture, you're definitely not gonna get the super shallow depth of field, but you can still get stuff done. Look at this. If you like get close to your subject, you can still make it work. Honestly, like kit lenses, anyone who says I can't take good photos because I have a kit lens is probably just using it as an excuse. So please check out the link in the description. I've got a special program for you that's gonna transform how you take photos, no matter what kind of gear you're using. Whether it's a cheap lens, a kit lens, or a $1,000 lens, and same for the camera. I think it can really help you take better photos and like understand what makes better photos, you know, and train your brain to actually do that. Check the link in the description if you want to learn more. This is exactly where you would feel frustrated if you had just this lens. It's, look at this. If you were like, oh, I'm doing a shoot outside, and you're coming here and you want to shoot, let's say, something moving 1/200 of a second, you're already at ISO 5000 to get the right light. So that's when a prime lens can be very helpful, honestly. The 51.8 doesn't cost much. We talked about it in other videos. At the end of the day, this camera is performing really nicely. I love it. I love the feeling of shooting with it. I mean, the sound is a little funny. Honestly, I have to get used to the shutter sound. I'm not sure if it's a toy or not sometimes, but feels pretty good so far. And the battery hasn't been that bad. It's been probably an hour or more I'm shooting now, and I still haven't lost any battery life. ISO 250, that's not bad. Let's wait for a little subject right here. Boom, there we go. And apparently this has a 40 frames per second burst and 6 frames per second depending on the settings, which sounds insane. See, what's interesting is that the camera is actually picking up the object as a priority. I think you can change that, but just the fact that it's recognizing objects so easily with this kit lens and such a small camera body without like features that you don't need is pretty impressive. And the fact that this guy totally photobombed my shot. It's just waiting for someone to walk by, and now it's like, it's poo-poo. Okay, well, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. There will be more. It was such a good shot in this, like a second ago, but the light completely changed. Like we've got a lot of clouds coming in and out, so it's 100% a different shot now. Hey sir, how are you?
What's up, my brother?
Can I take a photo of you? I love the look with the cigarette, the earbuds, everything. You look so cool.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, thanks. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, just do your thing. Do your thing. Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good to me, my brother.
That's awesome. Love that. Yeah, one more. I'll take it from here. Nice. Looks so cool. Yeah, look at you.
Oh yeah.
Looking good.
Oh yeah.
Right? Well, wishing you good luck.
Take it easy, brother.
Take it easy. Bye. Woo. What a fun little shoot, guys, with this camera. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now what is really missing in this camera if you're going to be a little advanced with your camera. Now, I'm also gonna compare it to the R6 Mark II that I just reviewed, and last but not least, I'll give you who this camera is for. So first of all, what's missing? The in-body stabilization is missing for me. Why is it so important? Well, simply because it allows you to take photos at a slower shutter speed without having to worry about things being shaky. And to me, that is extremely important in certain situations when I don't want to trade tripods, etc. Allows me to take photos, for example, at 3 seconds or 2 seconds handheld. And obviously it's not something that you're gonna be doing every day, but you can consider it. Now, the video mode has some stabilization, but it's cropping in and it's digital, so it's not the same. It's just like trying to make things better, like a GoPro would. Now, next thing is only one memory card slot right here. Okay, that's good to know. Not everyone needs two, by the way. Last but not least, I will say you're gonna be running through a few batteries, especially if it's gonna get cold. Even with the R6 Mark II that had a bigger battery life when it was really cold, well, you go through them fairly quickly. And this one being a lot smaller, I mean, look at this size. This is like a tiny battery. I kind of appreciate Sony for that they keep the same batteries for all their cameras, and that's super helpful. Now, it also means this camera is smaller, it has a smaller battery. So yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off. Now, if you compare it to the R6 Mark II, if you're curious, how is this gonna compare? Well, I think the R6 Mark II is gonna be for anyone who is trying to go more pro. What do I mean? It has 2 memory card slots, it has a bigger battery life, it has the in-body stabilization, which can help with slower shutter speed again. And I do prefer the mechanical shutter sound, honestly, on the R6 Mark II versus this one. But that's a little detail, you know, it's not that important. So R6 Mark II, definitely for someone going more pro, one should shoot wedding, travel, client work, etc. Having dual backup for memory cards is crucial. Now, R8 is gonna be for anyone who is trying to get a little more serious with the camera, maybe had like a super cheap one before, like very entry level, and now wants to touch the same graal of the autofocus, because between the R8 and the R6 Mark II, I have not felt the difference in the autofocus. They're both really great. Now, I've said it before in the R6 Mark II review, you can watch it after. The hitbox on Canon is sometimes confusing. You're not sure if you're focused at the front or the back of the vehicle. The hitbox is cool, looks cool, but sometimes if you're shooting very shallow depth of field, it might be a little difficult to know exactly where you're focusing. If you're traveling, if you want an everyday camera, I said it, no need to get that Fuji, right? Your everyday camera with a small lens and at a decent price, well, this is a great camera, and it will allow you also to change lenses in the future. The JPEGs are fine out of it. Obviously, I would highly recommend you to shoot RAW. Throw in my presets on top of it, or your own presets if you made your own. Link in the description if you didn't make your own. And then your photos look great in just a few clicks, and that's it. You don't need to do much more. So let me know what you think. How you feeling with this camera? I'm kind of curious, because I think it's a really, really strong camera at a very affordable price. So with that being said, guys, get out there, go shoot, try something different, try something new. I'll see you in the next one.